thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up. Bang! Quality over quantity. LeBron has beaten some of the best competition in NBA history. He's the GOAT emoji. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not swear. I will not swear.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Yes. Even in the midst of chaos. Wait a minute. Hi. This has not been a good beginning so far. Welcome to the afternoon. Welcome to this edition of the Brian Snow Show, where my studio is right now in shambles, and that's about the extent of it. Oh Lordy! I put out a feeler for a possible pinch hitter. I'm still hoping I get a pinch hitter because I have to take my studio apart. And the reason I got to take it apart is because let's just say there's some things going on here and none of it is good, at least for the time being. Victor's in the house with me, Sig Diggy's in the house with me, and who else? The Hawk TV is here. I gotta tell y'all, I mean, this all happened within the span of a couple of hours. Everything that's going on right now. But I will push through as best as I can. So I will warn you right now. If y'all hear me cussing, there is a reason. Because there's so many electronic things that have gone completely berserk. And when I say completely berserk, I mean just that. But I'm here, and let's just go ahead and get this party started, shall we? And we first start off with Around the Horn. Replacements have been named for Clayton Kershaw, Aaron Judge, and Mike Trout, all of which who are out with significant injuries. The 3-time MVP, Mike Trout, of the Angels, and the reigning MVP, Aaron Judge, out with a toe injury, are out for the American League side after earning starting nods. The National League will be missing Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw, a starting candidate who will be unable to go at all due to a sore shoulder. In their places step Astros Kyle Tucker, the Rays Wander Franco, and the Pirates David Bednar, respectively. 2 other replacements were named Tuesday are sure to please the hometown fans who will be on hand for the game in Seattle and its SRO. And there's nobody more pleased than I to say that Julio Rodriguez and George Kirby will be making their All-Star debuts. Well, this is going to be fun to see a couple of hometown heroes, and believe me, they were heroes. They helped get them to the playoffs last year. To see them in the All-Star uniforms. And I took a peek at the All-Star uniforms, and I like them. I absolutely like them. Continuing on Around the Horn. Mike Trout suffers a broken hamate bone and is likely out 6 to 8 weeks. Yipe. And I do mean yikes. 6 to 8 weeks, which, if in effect, without your 2 biggest stars, in effect kills any playoff chances the Angels had of getting to the playoffs. I'll say it again. This, in effect, kills any chances that the Mariners had of getting to the Angels had of getting to the playoffs. And let me ask this. Are they gone after this season? That's what I want to know. Is that are they gone? Are they gone after this season from the Angels? Both Ohtani and Mike Trout. Because I said Mike Trout is wasting his career in Anaheim playing with the Angels. 6 to 8 weeks. You're done right. He's going to feel like a fish out of water. And I'm waiting for a couple pinch hitters right now. I should not be gone longer than a segment, but I'll take you as long as I can. And then I got to take this thing apart because something happened to my computer. 6 to 8 weeks. Mike Trout will be out of the lineup. If you thought it was trouble with him in the lineup, and I'm talking about the players around him, then what are they going to do without Mike Trout? The Angels are going to be fresh fish out of water. And I mean, it's going to get bad. And it's going to get bad fast. Speaking of Los Angeles, as we continue going around the horn, Clayton Kershaw is on the injured list. Will miss the All-Star game due to a sore shoulder. All right. Y'all know how I feel about Clayton Kershaw. He's one of the best pitchers in the game, but what turned me off about Clayton Kershaw is his game 5 against the Washington Nationals, where in a matter of 3 pitches, he was done. And I believe he's been done since then, World Series championship notwithstanding. Got a couple pinch hitters in the pack here. Play-by-play with JJ's in the house with us. Victor Locke joins us. Victor, what's up, man?
How are you doing, Snowman? What is going on, brother?
Have you ever wanted to push the plunger on something and just blow it to smithereens?
I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. What kind of question is that?
There you go. That's the answer I was looking for. And I believe we got a pinch hitter all the way from Norway. Sig Diggy has joined us. What's up, man?
Oh, yes.
Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. But how you doing, Brian? And it looks like I came in just in time because you definitely need a good reason to laugh.
I do. I do, because in the past 90 minutes, and this concludes our Around the Horn segment. In the past 90 minutes, my studio has gone from workable to in shambles, even though y'all are seeing me right now. So,
that's what the backup is for. Let me put it this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like we complained. Let me put it this way. It's always good to have depth in your roster. So in case the starters have some kind of foul-ups, the backup comes in to step up.
Well, I'm going to need y'all to step up for about a half hour.
Hey, we're going to finish strong. Hey, a bad start is nothing wrong. It's better to have a bad start than a bad finish.
Absolutely. And when we get back, we're all going to discuss the Stephen A. Smith situation. And then believe me, it's a situation that's been brewing for about...
I can't wait. I can't wait to pay homage to Chris Bates when I say, Negro might be lying. Negro discrimination. That little red bastard.
Musings, you're going to get random musings once we talk about
you know what? Sick, I'm going to drop you down. Victor, I need you to take the reins for me for about 20 minutes. I'm going to go to a break, and Victor will take y'all for the next segment with his random musings. You are perfect. You got perfect timing, man.
I still do want to do a tag team. Just personally, my personal preference, I want to actually do it with Sig Diggy, if that's okay with you.
I'll trust you.
Okay.
I've trusted you for 20 years. What's the subject?
All right. Well, we were going to talk about another individual that you guys completely ripped apart earlier in the morning.
What I rip apart now?
Someone who's about as soft as toilet tissue.
Y'all do that for me, and I'll join you after I get done blowing this thing to smithereens and taking it apart and putting it back together. Sig Diggy and Victor will be back in 2.5 minutes, and I will be back as soon as I can because I gotta take this thing apart. Back in a minute. thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
We're not a cooking show. We're a show about cooking. We turn the camera around and point it at you. Our show takes place right inside your kitchen.
Thursday nights are wrestling night on CSTV. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific to see all the amazing Next Level Pro Wrestling stars on Thursday Night Throwdown on CSTVNow.com and the CSTV app on your Roku device.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
We are back at it again. Brian Snow, the snowman, had stepped away from us. So pitch hitting the tag team of Vicala and Sick Diggy. It's been a long time coming. You know that, right?
A long time coming. It's long overdue when you think about it.
True. So,
well, first and foremost, Higglia Seda, or pleased to meet you, as they say in Norwegian.
Pleased to meet you as well.
Ilikamuda would be the reply, but yeah.
So let's go ahead and get started with one James Harden. I'm sorry, Cole Johnson, but I had to bring this up because you guys were cooking.
And they forgot about the side dishes.
Right. We got to come in with the garnish because you cook the meat perfectly. You know, get that nice mid-rare, but you need the garnish with it. You need the sides with it, and that's what we're going to do.
Or as the Brits would say, they were completely believing salad tossers. They were salad dodgers, excuse me. Not salad tossers, salad dodgers. They were trying to dodge the salad.
Yeah.
They were dodging the greens, Mike. They were dodging the greens. But I'm going to say something, like I said, it's not in the comments, but we're completely ignored. In fact, lately they've been ignoring the ads we put in. No fault, no hard feelings on that. But I said something that would be. Wait, do you have the soundboard by any chance?
I do not.
Victor?
I do not have the soundboard.
So I guess I'm going to have to improvise on those because, in the words of Screaming Ace of Negro Knight, aka Screaming Ace Smith, I said something that is blasphemous. But it makes sense, like Bernie Mac would say. It makes sense like a mother, whatever.
Yeah.
I said Houston should reconsider signing James Harden back to the Rockets.
Oh boy.
Because I figured, and there's a reason why. Because I figured, one, he's got to be on the bench. Two, he's going to be the designated whipping boy because head coach Ime Udoka is going to need somebody to cuss out.
Or look better than when he gets to some sort of strip club because Ime Udoka is going to leave with all the females. And he needs someone to laugh at after that happens. So
basically it's gonna be like the old jerk out video by Morris Day of the Times. You remember?
yep.
You remember that video where
I
where
do.
Morris steals a chick from Quincy Jones of all people? It walks out the club and Sugar Ray Leonard's looking at him like, what the
Right.
what?
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Now he wants out of Philly. After it seems like he's that person that wherever he goes, he leaves a mess behind. And
He's a parasite.
Yes, he's a vampire.
He
He's a
is
parasite.
No, not a vampire. Parasite. Parasite. A vampire would turn you into them. This guy is more like
a mosquito.
Not a mosquito. Not a mosquito. This guy is more like, what do they call those fish that have like
kangaroo, I think.
Yeah, they have like they have a parasite in them.
Oh, yeah.
That rips them from the inside out.
Yes.
That's what he is.
Yeah, it's just like he had the best chance in Houston. In fact, that's where he got a lot of his shine was in Houston. And then for some reason, he started getting softer. Like I remember when he first started, he actually was doing well and was able to go hard to the rim. Like he looked like one of the guys that could be one of those strong, smaller guys. And just like after that, he got softer and softer and softer. And I guess he started believing his own hype. And all of a sudden, he started becoming a prima donna. And I'll put it like this: we rag on bronzexuals all the time.
Let's not forget Irvingites, Bradyites, Irvingologists.
Urbanologists, Bradyites. But the Hardenites, I think, are starting to come up. Not to get the moronic Republic of Cowboys Nation. But I'm starting to think that a lot of Harden fans are starting to get that bug. Because a lot of people are like, Harden could do it. Harden's going to be like the next LeBron James. Harden's not even the next AI. Not even close.
Bitch, are you for real? Wait, are we allowed to cuss?
I'm not sure. If we're not, we're sorry, CSTV.
CSTV, but we are using the sound bites here. We got to use the sound bites. We're using the sound bites here. So, in the words of Dolomite, bitch, are you for real?
I think the problem is particularly when it comes to like, and I guess I could say modern NBA fans, because Harden represents the modern NBA fan, as does Kyrie Irving, as does Kevin Durant to a degree, as does LeBron James. It's almost like if you're flashier, if you're prettier, then we'll get behind you and we'll push for you. Joel Embiid also. But the guys who get down and dirty, you know, and even though he's annoyed me with some of his antics, Draymond Green. Draymond Green is one of those guys who is strong, tough and strong.
He's an unsung hero. He's the unsung hero of the Warriors.
Exactly.
But he doesn't care because look at it this way. You have to compare that trio of the Warriors to the trio of the Bulls, the second three-peat Bulls. Draymond Green is Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
That's who he is.
He's
not there to score. He is there to cover the boards and do the dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he has a bit of a temperament. Rodman knew how to get under people's skin because he was defensive oriented. He loved to tangle with people and loved to frustrate everybody.
Yeah.
And he would just do certain things.
And a lot of people had that thing of like, oh, he's got a temper. I'm like, the thing is, Dennis Rodman was the one that was supposed to get in your business and let you know, hey, this is my court. You're just playing here for the time being. And that's what Draymond
the best man that best described how hard of a player Dennis Rodman was the comedian Damon Wayans.
Oh, man.
If you're willing to indulge me here.
Oh, go ahead.
Damon Wayans had this bit back in the early 90s where he talked about Magic Johnson when he first came back to the league after being diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
After being diagnosed with HIV positive. And nobody was scared because, given, this is the 90s, everybody was fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Was kind of fearful, but the players showed solidarity. They hugged him. He showed him love, shaked his hand.
Because Mike Johnson was a lovable guy and he was a leader.
He was a leader, but they weren't scared to get because also common sense was the misconception was you can contract HIV through physical contact, which is not true. I mean, I was like 8. What? This was November of '91 when he got diagnosed, correct?
Yeah.
I was 9 years old when I watched his press conference. I was getting ready for school when that happened. But anyway, the joke goes that like if people were really fearful of AIDS back then, everybody would have acted like I tried to guard him, but he slipped. He got me because everybody's scared to touch him. Or people would be wearing hazmat suits just to match up with Magic.
Right.
The only person who would not be afraid would have been Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman would have shoved him down like, you don't scare me. I was dating Madonna. I don't know what I got.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
He was dating Madonna at the time, folks.
You know what? Dennis Rodman was a bully. He was that bully forward that could like really get in your face. And basically you had to play strong in order to play him.
And so he learned that when he was in Detroit. Because remember, when he came to Detroit, he was a shy young man.
Oh,
he was when he was a teenager, he was only 5'9". But later on, by the time when he was up until he's 16, he was 5'9". Then he had this huge growth spurt.
That's when he had the clean cut Dennis Rodman, no tattoos, black
hair.
tattoos.
He came into the league at 25 years of age, so his knees were still fresh compared to most 25-year-olds at that time.
Fair.
And it was Mark Aguirre who convinced the rest of the team that if you ever watched the Bad Boy Pistons 30 for 30, Mark Aguirre was the one who said, put Dennis on the starting lineup.
Yeah.
He's young, but he's got D. And if we could just bring it out of him, he will be a dominant power forward.
So
he was.
So then my question is, if Dennis Rodman can do it, and if Draymond Green can do it, why can't James Harden do it?
Because James Harden is selfish, and I'm back.
Exactly.
More like he's a coward.
It's the problem with a lot of guys. They're only good when the pressure is off. When the pressure is on, or big game situations, they're as quiet as a church mouse.
But that's what makes these guys pressure.
And what did I talk about, gentlemen, this morning? 2018 Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
All you need to highlight from that series are 2 games, 6 and 7. You want to talk about coming up short of the mini-me? Yikes.
He was not just coming up short. They got too comfortable. They got their foot off the gas. They got too comfortable.
With a 3-2 lead.
They got clowned, is what it was.
They got too comfortable when they got the lead. It's easy to be confident when you got the lead. But you understand when you are in the lead, it's yours to lose.
And you got to work even harder to keep it.
This is the thing with James Harden, and this thing with Kyrie Irving, is the thing with, well, it's Wednesday, I'm gonna say it, LeBron James, CP3, is that they feel that everyone has to play up to their level. And so
your level is too low.
Exactly.
To use a Kung Fu Panda reference, they are a level 0.
Can I go? If you can go lower than that, please do.
Level -1, -2, -3, subpar.
All of that, because
you are basically subpar.
Yeah.
Who would want to? First of all, what I want to know is who would take that? Who would be foolish enough to take that contract on?
Like I said earlier, let Houston have him, because but just don't have him on the starting lineup. Have him on the bench, and let him be the designated whipping boy, because Ime Udoka is going to need somebody to cuss out.
I was going to say, like, I'm a little bit nervous.
Flowers by Udoka would be an extreme business.
I was a little bit nervous because I know Cole's listening. I'm like, I don't know how Cole will feel about that.
I'm sure Cole would not agree with it, but he would look at it and think, because remember, Cole is ex-military. He understands, as someone who served in the armed forces, he is logical, very logical. He can see how pragmatic, how practical this would be. He wouldn't like it, but if it somehow works, he will. He has no problem having a huge slice of humble pie.
You just put a key word in your sentence. If.
Only teams I could see possibly getting him
would be Houston. There's only one team. There's only one team that he wants to play with, and that's Houston.
As much of a circus show as this team has been, Snowman, I think you know where I'm going.
You say it, and I'll sock you in the mouth.
Just say it.
Say it.
Fakers. I see it happening. I see Harden running with his buddy, and it further pushes Anthony Davis out the door.
Victor, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Why the you lying? Why you always lying?
Oh, lying.
We got ads, folks. Sorry, but we have. Excuse me. We have ads right now.
We ain't gonna read them because I gotta ask.
I'm just gonna speak them. I'm just gonna say them right now.
Victor, once again.
Why the you lying?
The Unmitigated Lie by Victor Law is brought to you by Bum Leg Orthopedics. The only thing keeping Anthony Davis in the Lakers. That's Bum Leg Orthopedics. Snowman, if you will.
I'm not doing it. Victor does it.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah, you.
Oh, my leg.
In association with Bum Leg Orthopedics' brand new beard brace. Because something's got to keep that beard of James Harden's intact. My beard, man, my beard.
Beard brace.
Yes,
that's incredible.
Let me ask JJ a question. How bad do you want James Harden out of Philadelphia?
How bad?
There's your answer.
I said it in the morning show. This breaking news. China has started to rebuild the Great Wall. And on the signs, they have the big bold letters, no James Harden's allowed. They absolutely refuse to have him there.
2 words for Rockets fan, Cole Johnson included. James Harden back to the Rockets.
You fool!
That's all I can think of. You fool.
At some point, you make your bed, you gotta lie in it. James Harden.
I have 3 good words. James Harden back to the Rockets. Oh, hell no.
Here's the thing. James Harden has made a mess in every place he's gone.
Oklahoma City included.
OKC.
Mm-hmm.
And they and OKC drafted him.
Yeah, OKC, then Houston, then Brooklyn, and now Philly. At some point, you got to sit in your mess and say, maybe
Tell
it's
LeBron
me.
That.
Well,
Tell
I was gonna go there. So you just said, maybe it's me. Snowman, if you please.
Yes, LeBron, it is you. It has always been you. It always will be you.
And that's what I'm going to say about James Harden. Yes, James, it is you. It's always
Ryan
been
McCarthy
you.
brings up something very interesting, and he's right about this. He says, you guys also forgot to mention that James Harden, in addition to being a coward, is lazy. He doesn't demonstrate a work ethic worthy of being an NBA roster.
And he doesn't play defense.
That's the thing. No one really does, except for a select few. Nikola Jokic is one. Steph Curry is another.
The question should be this. I mean, has anybody ever seen a practice session of what a modern NBA team looks like now compared to what it was back in the 90s and the early 2000s?
Oh, my God.
Unfortunately, I have.
Day and night.
I remember a story.
Unfortunately, I have.
I remember the story. I remember the story, and it's so hilarious, but so true. There was a Bulls player who was making little pot shots, and he decided to, invoke the god known as Michael Jordan.
Yep.
And he talked about, how he could guard him now, he could take him now. Jordan said, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow." Sure enough, they come in for practice. Jordan's already in warm-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Already going through.
He's been stretching.
Drills.
Yep.
He works because you understand the work ethic that they put in. Jordan, Pippen, everybody in there. They put in the work. Understand what I just said? They put in the work.
And Snowman, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. All that player heard in his mind was Schultz offers.
Oh no!
Exactly. That's all he said was, "Oh no."
Let's pause.
Night.
Oh yeah, all of that. Let's pause for a break. We got more chatter for you when y'all get back. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
We're not a cooking show. We're a show about cooking. We turn the camera around and point it at you. Our show takes place right inside your kitchen.
Thursday nights are wrestling night on CSTV. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific to see all the amazing next-level pro wrestling stars on Thursday Night Throwdown on CSTVNow.com and the CSTV app on your Roku device.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Anybody, welcome back to the Brian Snow Show. Anybody that thinks of taking on James Harden on their team, you just have to think.
Oh, I'm dying. I gotta take another shout out to the EP of EPs and Cole Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Harden back in Houston? Oh heck no!" I'm Cole
That
Johnson.
reminds me of a couple things. But before I say what I want to say, I just got to give shout outs to Cole Johnson for that intro music, because that's just some good music right there. You just feel the vibe. You want a 2-step. Reminds me of some of the stuff my father used to play.
This is why I.
Unfortunately, with the promo graphics ad, I'm gonna have to go get a back brace from Bum Leg Orthopedics, because anytime I hear that song start me up, I start strutting like Mick Jagger. I almost threw my back out just a while ago. Ooh. But
that's your fault.
I know.
But I will say this. I gotta say this first of all. You think Cole is pissed? You think Cole is ticked off about James Harden coming back to Phoenix? Imagine Ray.
Well,
from LJPN. He's gonna say, Jimmy Harden, Mr. T knockoff trash.
Yeah.
Fuzz face fool. Take off that beard. You ain't Mr. T. I pity this fool right now. I pity that fool. Mr. T should be suing him for gimmick infringement. That's what I'm gonna say about that.
I pity any
Especially
team
at the Mohawk. Y'all remember the Mohawk?
Yeah.
I pity any team that takes on that takes on that contract.
I'll ask this question because we left on a very interesting note when you said about the difference between the work ethic and practices, and then it does get me to a point where I ask this question: what constitutes an MVP? Like, what parameters do we set when we're talking about a team's most valuable player or the league's most valuable player?
That's easy. And this is where I tie James Harden and LeBron James into this, because I saw a post earlier.
Oh no.
That said, dear God, help me. There was a comparison between LBJ and James Harden. And I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. And the thing said, quote, there's no reason why LeBron should have not won the MVP. We're talking about 2018 when James Harden won it. So I jumped all over that. And I said, wrong. Because that should have been the 4th consecutive title for Wardell Stephen Curry II.
You said you weren't going to cuss, and then you cussed.
What'd I say?
You said you wasn't going to cuss, and then you turn around and cuss.
Repeating my question. What'd I say?
You said that Steph should have had his 4th consecutive MVP.
And you hear me?
And I
yes.
totally believe that. I totally believe that Steph should have been the first 4-time MVP, 4 consecutive MVP winner.
Mm-hmm.
I totally
My
believe
question
that.
is, who votes?
He got robbed in 2017 by Russell Westbrook, and he got robbed again by James Stay Puff Harden in 2018.
That's a great question, Sick. Who does vote these? Who votes these?
And while we're at it, here's the thing I gotta say. Mm-hmm. You know how Vic, in our generation, because you and I are millennials.
Yep.
You remember when we were younger, we were told to work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Dear God,
but the emphasis. Commercial. But here's the problem: the emphasis on that is you gotta work. You still gotta put in the work. Exactly. You just have to be smarter about it. These guys, they put too much emphasis on the smarter and less on the work.
I agree.
Because it's high, and it shows how highly unintelligible these individuals are, because you still got to understand you have the latest in technology, the latest in sports science and sports medicine.
Yes.
But you still got to put in the work.
Yes.
You still got to train. You still got to do. In fact, here's a question I want to ask a lot of the modern day players.
Mm-hmm.
That one aspect of working smarter means you're watching footage of how the other team plays.
Yeah.
You're looking for, especially if you're going to be matched up with other teams, with another player on that court. You got to understand, where's his weak spot? Where is he less effective? Where can you find anything, any holes in his game?
And there are a lot of players that are not video madmen in dissecting their opponent. Give you a great story. Dan Dockich, a former talk show host in Indiana, in 1984, got the assignment from hell. Why? Because in an NCAA tournament game where Indiana upset number 1 North Carolina at the Omni, who do you think Dan Dockich was told to guard?
MJ.
I'll never forget that Dockich said he threw up when he got the assignment from Bobby Knight.
You know what this reminds me of? If you've ever watched, and you've actually watched this with me, Snowman, there's a DVD about the Road Warriors.
Yes, I have.
We watched this together back in Gary.
Mm-hmm.
There were wrestlers who would go to the sheet that had the matches
Yep.
And when they see their name next to the Road Warriors, their hearts would sink.
Mm-hmm.
Because those guys would work stiff.
Yes.
Yeah.
All I can say first and foremost is, oh, what a rush. However, one man, when they talk about guys working stiff, and this was, if anybody's watched the Stone Cold podcast, where he interviewed The Undertaker. Undertaker talked about when he first started out as Mean Mark Calloway in WCW.
Mean Mark Callis, yep.
Mean Mark Callis with the skyscraper, Danny Spivey.
Yeah, I remember.
Spivey said, "Follow my lead."
Yeah.
And they knew, and he knew these guys worked stiff, but apparently what they were told was to rough up the Road Warriors. They beat them senseless.
Yeah.
And then they went back to
oblivion.
So
they bleed him to So they go back to the state. Hold on, just a minute, Vic. Just bear with me. They went back to the dressing room. Spivey is just sitting in his chair, just waiting for them to come back.
Mm-hmm.
The dressing, waiting for them to come back. Taker is nervous because he's young. He's still new to the business.
Right.
He's got his tape rope ready, thinking something bad gonna happen. But fortunately, the Road Warriors come in. They're shaking Spivey's hand, saying, "Man, that was good job, great way of working." They even patted Taker on the back, and Taker's just confused. He looks at Spivey. Spivey just looks at him and just gives him a wink.
Yeah,
trust me.
Because real recognize real, game recognize game.
Thank you.
And that's the problem, and that's why I ask again: what constitutes being an MVP? Because if we're going by our metrics from 1980s, 1990s, and even 2000s, this ain't it. It seems like they work softer.
How many times have I said that?
There's no real contact. There's no real ability to play on the ball, because if you have bad breath in someone's general vicinity, you're getting called for a foul.
You're getting called for a foul. Cole Johnson says the following: unfortunately, the NBA's most valuable player is almost always awarded to the highest scoring player on the team with the greatest record in a given season. This is true. And he also backdoors that with, by that parameter, James Harden, by NBA standards, was deserving of the award. I'll touch on that in a minute. He also received sympathy votes for not claiming the award before then as well, talking about 2017, which brings Joel Embiid to mind.
Which also reminds me of why he had to be the cover star for NBA Live 18.
Before you go there,
I don't want to talk about NBA Live 18. That blows.
Thank you.
Before you go there, Snowman, I'll give you an example of someone who, in my opinion, did it the right way. 2011. A man by name. Yes. He didn't say, "Oh, I want to be MVP." Well, they should maybe MVP said, "Why can't I be MVP? Who's going to stop me?"
And he went out and proved it.
Exactly.
He put in the work. He proved his bones. He said, "I showed you." He put up the MVP numbers to prove he's worthy of it.
Right.
And let me borrow a line that was said in a Miami newspaper from 2011, and I'll apply it to this past season. Joel Embiid is the most fraudulent MVP I've seen in my life.
Oof. Oh, I remember that. That
line came from 2011.
I remember that.
From a newspaper in Miami. And Victor, you brought that to me, and I thank you for that.
Yes, I did.
You brought that to me, brother. And it applies here with Joel freaking Embiid, because Joel Embiid had no business, none, winning the MVP this past year.
No.
All he did was bitch and whine and moan. I should have got it last year. Prove it.
Well,
let's not forget, he did cry on the basketball court when he did get fouled. Unfortunately, for a right reason, because remember, he had a fractured eye socket. You had to wear that mask and getting headaches from it.
Yep.
But unfortunately, what I'm going to say about him getting the MVP, one person who Joel Embiid looks up to and still does is Mount Mutombo, Dikembe Mutombo. So I'm thinking, excuse me, folks. He needs a good talking to, because the only person who can get to him is Dikembe Mutombo, because Mutombo, like himself, is a francophone.
Well, here's the problem. He's not letting Mutombo get to him. He thinks he has it all he thinks he has the entire package. And something I have said.
Snowman, wait. Snowman, hear me out.
Not a minute. Not now.
Okay.
there. Matter of fact, I already got it. Listen, Joel Embiid should never be MVP again. He shouldn't have been MVP in the first doggone place. Because I've said this several times on air and off air to the folks who know me.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Embiid does not have the entire damn package.
Well, I just know, man. Who is he going against? Who is in the race with him? Because you know where I'm going. You know where I'm going with this.
You know, the person that should have won the MVP this year unanimously?
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic.
Exactly.
He should have.
Nikola
Jokic should have been a 3-time MVP, but Nikola Jokic got robbed. But at the same time, Jokic said, okay, I'll use it as a motivation. Who were the world champions?
Well, like I said.
Wait, who got the finals MVP awards? Was that Jokic?
There you go.
Jokic.
Exactly, because Jokic is like, Jokic is like, you think I care? Okay, you want to give him minutes? Okay, all right. It's cool. I'm not gonna cry about it because let's not forget this guy's from Serbia. They
don't play.
Folks from the Balkans are tough. Remember, understand you're talking about, and he comes from the generation that was born during and after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So they had to be tough.
Yes,
he had to be tough, and plus him, Doncic, the Antetokounmpo brothers, the Greek freak and his brother siblings, all started out in Europe in their native countries, and then they came into the league afterwards. So they had the fundamentals down. So they learned how to be tough from the get-go.
And Cole said something in the chat right now that is so true. I told you when Jokic won MVP last year, my first words were Embiid is your next NBA MVP, and you called it.
Yeah,
you called it. As unfair as it is. Speaking of Joel Embiid, I'm going to have a conversation with JJ. So let me get play-by-play with JJ up here. This is who I'm posting the link for. So JJ, when you get a couple of minutes, get up here because I want to have a frank conversation with Jason Joseph about Joel Embiid.
Snowman, Ryan McCarthy just echoed my sentiments exactly.
If you didn't vote for Embiid, you're probably racist.
Yes. That's why he won this year. That's why he won this year. That's why I said, look at who.
No, not in my house.
Look at who Embiid.
Hold on. Let me put something together here because I have something that's going to surprise Cole. And
it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I have to use something that Cole has said so many times over, and that I've repeated in my head so many times over. Because first of all, Kendrick Perkins should have been one of the ones on the chopping block.
A lot of them should be on the chopping block that are not there.
As far as ESPN goes,
a lot of them shouldn't be there.
Kendrick Perkins, some of these players who actually played and had an impact should be there instead of guys like Kendrick Perkins.
The thing is that
forget that. Yeah, but let's not forget Perkins' nose is brown for a reason.
There you go. They go from being players that have the experience to wanting to be liked.
And
this is not a popularity contest.
Why do you think Charles Barkley's not there?
Isn't. People were griping hard about Jokic receiving the award for the third consecutive year. Many of the NBA circles were thinking he wasn't deserving of the award, which is a lie. Which is a straight up, flat out lie. It's a lie. Matter of fact,
brings up something right there, Snowman.
Let me
think about it.
Let me pose a question. Cole, take it away.
Where's Cole?
There you go.
I didn't hear the question.
Here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to ask. Really important.
Yes.
When just picking up what Ryan just mentioned earlier about Kendrick Perkins, that quote by Kendrick Perkins, what were they trying to imply? Were they trying to imply that Nikola Jokic is the great white hope?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's exactly what it is.
You
This
know
is why I
who
said
else You know who else they did that for in the 80s?
Please.
Larry
Bird.
Bird. Yep.
The hit from the lick.
Bunker TV in the house with us. Disgruntled Knicks and Mets fan in the building.
Here's the thing. This is why I said
I love you, Bunker TV. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
This is why I said,
does the Bunker TV need a hug? Does he need a hug?
No, because he's giving me mess like I'm giving him mess.
This is what
it's all love with y'all.
Does that mean by who was Joel going against? And I'll say this for Mr. Kendrick Perkins.
A piece of everybody.
I'll put it like this for Mr. Kendrick Perkins. If you think the only reason why Nikola Jokic won the MVP because of racism, maybe you are also kind of racist.
Kind of being the operative word.
Just
Let me go one. Let me take
along with his nose being diarrhea brown, and probably in bad. And dude need to have a CAT scan because we don't know if this man might be showing the early signs of dementia.
Maybe.
That's not only showing the early signs for. Let me go one-on-one with JJ after we all get back as we start the second hour of the Brian Snow Show
all
after this. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you talk, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up. Bang! Quality over quantity. LeBron has beaten some of the best competition in NBA history. He's the GOAT emoji. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not swear. I will not swear.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
The second hour of the Brian Snow Show is here. A couple of guest hosts in Sick Diggy from Norway, Victor Locke from Chicago. But now I'm going to go one-on-one with one of my good buddies who is in motion right now. So he's driving, but got him on the Invader Coffee guest line. This is Jason Joseph, play-by-play with JJ. Joins me right now. What's up, JJ?
Oh, man, the sun is shining. It is 92 degrees outside. But other than that, everything's going really good. How are you, Mr. Snowman?
Good. We are doing very good here. We talked about what constitutes an MVP, and you and I have had this conversation before. I've had it with a lot of people concerning one Joel Embiid. And when you wrapped up your season after they got eliminated by the Boston Celtics, the first thing I said to you is the first thing you agree with. If he had the entire package together, and I'm talking about the entirety of his package, physical, mental, emotional, if he had the entire package together, they would have gone further several times over than the second round of the playoffs.
I agree with that. And it's so funny because as soon as I wrote that comment on your live chat, I actually had to think about it. And I literally said to myself, while yes, he has incredible physical abilities, and he has gotten better at passing out of the double teams, even though I can even argue that even during the Boston series that he did a really bad job with that. He's a very good scorer. He's a really good – when he wants to rebound, he can be a very good rebounder. But the problem is that he's not consistent with it. And I feel like when you really, 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 really think about the whole entire Joel Embiid experiment, I love Joel, and I have to put this to the side. The thing that he idolized, right? Like the player that he idolized is Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to an interview with Jerry West, and he was talking about what stood out about Kobe Bryant. And, you know, like, he's seen a lot of talent before, you know, so like nothing really surprised him like from that perspective. But when he did like notice like that there was a time like where he wasn't making the shots, the mental toughness that the kid had, the Mamba mentality was what really, really stood out to him. And Joel does not have that right now. And I can't understand why, but I want him taking the final shots of the game if he's mentally tough. And in the Boston series, he came up small. Now, yes, you can argue the whole James Harden thing and the rest of the roster construction. I get that. But for years and years, Brian, for years and years, I have defended Joel Embiid to the very bitter end. Mm-hmm. Injuries, physical injuries, I get it. Last season, the Brooklyn Nets threw the entire kitchen sink at him. But You know what? He chose to come back. He chose to come back. They won game one without him. They won game one without him.
Yep.
And so how can you call yourself the MVP when all you cared about was the award, like the regular season award, but yet you couldn't shine during the biggest moments? I'm still frustrated with how he played in game 2 and in game 5, game 6, and in game 7. Game 5, everybody says that he did good in game 5. No, he did not. I'm sorry.
No, he didn't. He didn't. Do you think, I've been meaning to ask you this, the shot against Toronto in 2019, do you think other players would use that to motivate them. But in Joel Embiid's case, do you think that broke him?
Looking back on it, I would say yes, but part of me now, just because of this season's playoff run, wants to kind of steer the other direction and say no, because he's high-fiving Jason Tatum, he's laughing during his press conference during Game 7. There was no sort of emotional factor this year. And I don't know if it was because he was fed up with the head coach. I don't know if it was because of this and that or whatever it was. But I did believe in the moment, the whole crying and everything. I actually did thought that was a sign of motivation, because I know that young players, wherever you play, whether it's hockey, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, or even just in tennis, you have to go through adversity in order for you to come out on top. And I really thought for a very, 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 very long time that was going to be the shining moment for Joel. And I've been starting to kind of flip back and forth with that question now recently over the last couple of months, just because of how he didn't show any sort of sign of sadness or sign of anger, and he even defended Doc Rivers. And when he came out there, Brian, at the very end of the game, I understand it's fresh off of his head, but when he said that James and I can't do this ourselves, I don't want to hear that after a game. I don't want to hear that after Game 7 when you lost to a team that you should have beaten. That's how I really feel.
They led that series twice. They led it twice. 3 times, actually. They led it 3 different times. 1 game to none. They led that series 3 different times. 1 game to none, 2 games to 1, and 3 games to 2. They led that series 3 different times, and they couldn't close it.
Right. Exactly. You know what wins in this league? Superstars.
Yes.
Right? Like the ones that shine. So the fact that you're saying, while I understand the roster construction's a whole nother story, and I could talk about Daryl Morey another day.
Yeah.
You and James are supposed to lead the team, but you're the number 1 guy. You're the number 1 guy. And yet you just fell short and you lost to a guy that's younger than you.
Exactly. Exactly. Jason Joseph joining us here on Play-by-Play with JJ via the Invader Coffee hotline. And we're talking all things Joel Embiid for this segment and why somehow he got the MVP when he didn't deserve it. When I said that, there are so many people that bristled at me. You were one of the ones that different because you caught the meaning behind why I said what I said. And it goes back to what I said before. He does not have the mental capacity. That's a part of the package.
It is.
Mental toughness.
It is. It really is.
Which begs the question. If I may.
Yeah.
And that is this. Are any professional teams making any investments in the aspects of sports psychology? Are they thinking about having their players visit somebody who's in be it a social worker or a counselor who can help them overcome the mental blocks in their game?
Well, I'll put it this way, Sick. You can teach how to revel in certain aspects. What you can't teach is mental toughness. That's something that's either forged by experience or forged by mentorship. You can't teach mental toughness.
You just mentioned the key word, Victor. You just mentioned the key word, and I want to bring this to JJ because Philadelphia since 2018 has gotten in the playoffs, but they've never gotten past the second round. Let me echo Six's question as well about investing in a mental
sports psychology
program in sports. Thank you. In sports psychology. JJ, let me bring this to you. Considering the failures of the Philadelphia 76ers, why haven't they gone that route? And I know you can't teach it, but you can embed it in a team and in a player. What has stopped Philadelphia? What has stopped the 76ers from making that investment to get them over, to help get them over the hump?
It's a very good question, and it's funny because I was a part of the Sixers organization when I was doing stuff for the Delaware Bluecoats, who were the NBA G League affiliate of the 76ers. And the one thing that I always I always had questions about when I would talk to people from the Camden facilities, and when I would talk to people during, that I would see during Bluecoats games that was there to just scout, like, young talent, like Paul Reed or the Jaden Springers and those types of things. The one thing that I questioned was the same exact thing. And it wasn't even just from a sports psychological standpoint. I even was thinking to myself, like, how come coaches aren't necessarily going over certain drills during practices?
Right.
Because I found that stuff out too. It actually goes pretty deep. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like, it's not even just from the sports psychological standpoint, which is a really fair, like, critical question, because you do wonder, like, these guys are getting paid a lot of money, and you look at the Ben Simmonses of the world, you look at the Joel Embiids that are out there, right? I do think,
or the Zion Williamsons.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, you look at these people, even Markelle Fultz.
Yeah.
Like, with the whole shooting syndrome and that type of thing. I was thinking, I do see like a repetitive pattern, and I've noticed that, these guys have gotten injured, and some of the time, like when Ben Simmons was out his quote-unquote rookie season, with the whole foot injury, he really should have been back within 2 months, but they were really trying to be careful, like a quote-unquote careful about it. But I never understood, like, what the whole approach was with just being careful. So just to kind of tie it all back together in a bow, I have no idea why they've never really looked into that route, or even if they have, they've never been public about it. And I think that that's really important, because the one thing that you have to do when you draft somebody that is as highly touted as Joel Embiid or as Ben Simmons is you have to surround them with the right doctors, with the right people, right? So a lot of these guys that were a part of even the Brian Colangelo experience, guys were still there from that, and I don't understand why they never just cleaned house and they got guys that would be good for Joel. It took about like 3 years for even Joel Embiid to even get a nutritionist. Like, think about that.
3 years?
3 years.
3 years.
That's outrageous.
Yes.
JJ, I love what you're talking about. I love we're having this discussion, but let's not forget something, and we have to consider a generational thing. JJ, first of all, what generation are you? Are you Gen X, Gen Y? What are you exactly?
Gen X.
You're Gen X. Okay, I'm a millennial, just like Victor. I'm sorry, Vicolaw. Among our generation.
Wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm a millennial. I'm literally like gonna be 25.
Okay.
Wait. Oh, you're a millennial. Oh, okay. You're a millennial. Okay, you're among our generation. But especially to the millennials born in the 90s, you have to understand, we grew up late 80s, early 90s especially.
Yep.
We are the generation of the trophy kid.
Yeah.
People been treating us like we trophy kid. We've been handled with a lot of y'all. I'm a Zennial. That's the early millennials, back in Gen Xers. We were still kind of feral. Even Vic was kind of feral, but everybody in the late 80s, early 90s especially.
Please speak.
That generation, even with the Gen Zs and possibly Generation Alpha, that's the trophy kid generation. They've been taught that they were special, this, that, and the third. They've been handled with kid gloves. They have never really gone through difficulties. I mean, look at boxing, for example. Ryan Garcia. He's had some spectacular fights in his career so far, but there was one fight we we all had to deal with adversity, and it was the Golden Boy himself, Oscar De La Hoya, who said, you know what he said about that fight after Ryan Garcia won that fight? He said, tonight Ryan Garcia became a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is a rite of passage. Young men, unfortunately, this goes up to some other things, but in sports, you have to have a rite of passage. So a lot of these guys who come into the league still young, and some of them coming in prematurely, like last couple of drafts, including this year's draft, are coming in prematurely with a few exceptions. They're not ready. They don't have the mental fortitude. They haven't gone through the rites of passage. This is why Deion Sanders, when we talked about people one and done trying to go in the NFL, he said they're not ready. They're not ready for the physical and mental aspect because you're coming into a man's sport where men are coming here who are looking forward to you rookies coming in and coming not just to destroy you, but to take your soul.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let me highlight a comment that Ryan McCarthy said. The Tampa Bay Lightning are notorious for using sports psychologists. Their head coach, John Cooper, insisted on it. 3 Stanley Cup appearances and 2 Stanley Cup wins. I say
I'll give you another example. In mixed martial arts, the greatest welterweight of all time, Georges Rush St. Pierre.
Yes.
After losing the first belt to Matt Serra, he had to go see a sports psychologist who helped him come to terms with the loss.
Yeah.
And that's when he became a better person because he learned how to be the master strategist.
Oh, that's something I'm learning. That's something I'm learning to do now.
Snowman,
because my wife has become my coach.
Snowman, we have one that's near and dear to our hearts here as Bull fans. What was the one?
Bill Jackson.
Bill Jackson.
What was the rite of passage that Mike had to overcome?
Trusting
Detroit
teammates.
Well, that's that.
Detroit.
And
the Bad Boys Pistons.
Oh wait, we forgetting one more thing. Somebody in that locker room, in that Bulls locker room, when he first came into the league, the same guy who had to also bust Scottie Pippen's behind, Mr. Charles Oakley.
Charles Oakley.
Because he had to break. Because it was his job as the older brother, to break them in. Break them in.
Let me go back. Let me go back to JJ before we let him go and before we go to a break. Who's going to be that one player, JJ, that will break Joel Embiid of his bad habits and break him in? Because he's now 8 seasons in out of Kansas. You would think playing at Kansas, and the tradition that the Kansas Jayhawks have would break Joel Embiid and get him mentally tough and mentally ready. But so far, nothing.
Well, I have.
What kind of bad influences did he have at Kansas? My question. But in the words of Screaming Ace Smith, aka Negro Knight, I have to say, what?
JJ.
Because remember, JJ. Sorry.
Go ahead, JJ. Who can be that one person to break Joel Embiid of his non-working habits? That's all I can say. His non-working habits.
Well, you talk about players. I gotta tell you, I actually think Patrick Beverley could be that guy. They just signed Patrick Beverley to a 1-year deal, and I understand that he's another Daryl Morey guy, and I totally get that. But Patrick Beverley, man, you talk about a dog that can get really feisty in front of people, right? Somebody that's like very verbal, has Draymond Green type of leadership in a sense where, he tries to get the best out of everybody. I think that Patrick Beverley could be that guy, but more so, rather than just a player, I actually do believe that Nick Nurse will do everything that he possibly can to try to get the most out of Embiid too. I do feel like that there's something to be said about being on the oppositional team that got to witness Joel Embiid and the Sixers losing because of the shot. It wasn't really just because of the shot, because obviously, they played 48 minutes that game too, and there were a whole bunch of other things that went wrong. But it came down to that shot. I do believe, though, that there's something to be said about somebody that's standing on the other side of the sidelines who got to witness why the Sixers lost and why Joel Embiid folded Because if you think about it, Boston did the same exact thing. They used bodies on Joel Embiid.
Yes.
And Kristaps Porzingis, I don't know if losing Marcus Smart was a good thing for the Celtics, but Porzingis right now is another body. He's another body that can do some damage physically on Joel Embiid. So what I'm saying is that I do believe that Nick Nurse can get the most out of Joel Embiid, and he's already proven that to me, because now he's coaching the summer league team. He didn't have to do that. He's coaching youth basketball, right? He's doing this almost like the full year around. And he's been very open about how he's going to help Joel Embiid expand his game, not just by passing out of the double teams, but working with him on different types of shooting too.
Yeah.
And different types of mechanisms. And I really do believe, even Jaden Springer said the other day that Nick Nurse texted him. Do you think that Doc Rivers texted any of his players?
No, I don't think
just
so.
off the court?
No.
Think about how awful the coaching was throughout these past 8 years between Brett Brown and Doc Rivers. The Sixers finally have a coach. Is it too late? I don't know. But I do believe that this coach is going to get a lot out of Joel Embiid. And even if you look at the market, so many teams were so interested in getting Nick Nurse because they knew that he could do those types of things to their team. And the Sixers finally got the right coach for once in their lives. And I really, to the core of my heart, truly do believe that Nick Nurse will actually kind of bring a different sort of an atmosphere to the locker room. You know, he's already playing different types of music, I've heard. He's getting to know all the young players. He's sitting down with one-on-ones. He's watching 5 hours of film with Joel Embiid. He's doing all those things because he wants to get the best out of everybody.
Well,
and I do think that Joel's going to benefit from that for sure.
Well, we're going to find out.
If I may a question.
We're going to find out this coming season. We got to go to a break, but let me thank JJ for hopping on. Once again, when are you on tonight, man?
6:40.
6:40. Go subscribe to Play by Play with JJ and help build that family, because in 6 months' time, he has built an incredible following. I am blessed to be a part of it, and JJ, it was a blessing to have you as a part of this show. Thank you, buddy.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Jason Joseph joining us here on the program. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's the segment y'all have been waiting for, because I kind of took it easy this morning. I will not take it easy this afternoon. Back in a minute.
Oh, no.
The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is The Brian Snow Show.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So stop that here. You can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground, and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is The Brian Snow Show.
I hate hearing that sound. Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of the Brian Snow Show. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to Sick and to Victor for pinch-hitting for a couple of segments while I was out. And I said this during the break, and I want to express it to this gentleman and to everyone that has tuned into the show. Thank you guys for reinforcing to me trusting the right people. Because Vic can tell you for the longest time when I was building this thing, I trusted the wrong people. That's why I took everything on myself.
And on a side note, I do apologize because I also trust the wrong people, which got you in situations.
That's why we learn, and that's why we're 25 years into this game. Speaking of into this game,
it's called trial by fire.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of into this game, I have a question.
Oh boy.
And to Stephen A. Smith, saying many of your colleagues that got laid off by ESPN that you call colleagues and friends, my simple question to you is the following.
Why the you lying? Why you always lying?
This is coming from a guy that engineered the departure of Max Kellerman from First Take. True or false?
He's a perpetual backstabber. He has backstabbed pretty much everybody that he's come into contact with. And to me, the most
thing is, I got accused of that by a certain hater, Victor, that you and I both know.
But we ain't gonna talk about him.
Oh man!
But to me,
I'm just making a point. I'm not talking about him. It's just me making a point.
To me, most egregious of it is him trying to talk about Jalen Rose. If there's ever been a person that Stephen A. has done more wrong than Jalen Rose, I don't know who it is. Maybe Max, but I think because not only did Stephen A. mess him over professionally, but personally as well.
Yeah, he's really messed him over, and it's sad to say that.
Derrick Rose,
Jalen Rose.
Oh, sorry, Jalen Rose. Wrong Rose. But then again, where's Jalen Rose at? Jalen, where's he at right now?
He was let go. He was one of the that was let go.
All right. Oh, sorry, I got to mix up with Juwan Howard. Because remember, they were the part of the Fab Five. Sorry.
That's true.
No, they played together. You got it right. They played together.
I got the wrong Wolverine mixed up for a moment because I forgot.
Okay.
But here's the thing: like you're gonna sit there and proclaim that this was my boy, this was a guy who I hung out with, who I have mad respect for, And then the thing,
right.
and I'm gonna try to keep it professional, but there are some personal rumors that went about, and I don't think I need to say much more than that. But
No,
if they are true, then you are the lowest of the low. And for you to then try to sit there and try to talk big about Jalen Rose when you could have said something, to at least try to prevent that,
Which you didn't.
And I get what Cole said earlier this morning about how this is a thing that happens with media. Media starting to become less. And what did we talk about last time, Snowman?
No, there's all kinds of sports in media right now.
But not even that. The
No,
consecration.
politics, that's the word I'm looking for. That's called that's politics. In
backstage
sports.
politics.
But also look at what is happening now. Snowman in the morning, the Brian Snow Show, Cole Sports, Stuck in My Mind, Fifth Down Sports, Shooting Lights Out, no credentials required. Sam Shady,
play-by-play with JJ.
Yeah, play with JJ.
All independent.
Big Dog Shane Lake, David 3000. Look at the community that is being built. This
right here
is going to take over.
Not bought, but built.
Yes, this is going to take over. And what are you going to, as you as a regular sports fan, what are you going to watch? The same cookie cutter BS that you see on ESPN, which now changed their net letters to WOKE, or still knowledgeable, factual, fundamentally sound journalism like what we're seeing on Snow Multimedia and Shady Sports.
I knew a long time ago when my mother, rest her heart, rest her soul, would always continue to ask me, why don't I work for ESPN? And my answer remained the same. My answer was the same then, and it will remain the same to this day, because I'm in the process of building my own damn empire.
Right. What were we going to say, Sick?
Well, it's not just that 4-letter network. Look at other major network shows. Look at Fox Sports, Sports Center. Then, of course, we mentioned this in the chat earlier today, Victor. A certain individual who's obnoxious as hell, who he had to check when she tried to check him on his show. I said but bear with me. I said she has no business being there because the way she conducts herself, that is TMZ Sports. Look at TMZ Sports and whatnot.
Oh, God.
The network TV, this is all network corporate crap.
Yeah.
It's all window dressing. It's not genuine sports coverage. And the real sports journalists, they have no choice, but they got to go either to independent radio, unless those radio stations have been bought out and become sister affiliates with some network. Some have had to go podcast because that's the only way where they can actually be themselves without being bought or compromised. Understand that key word right there, compromised. Because most of the guys we see.
You know who recently got compromised by ESPN? Pat McAfee.
Yeah. But Pat McAfee, he saw dollar signs. And he's not,
and a trust fund for his child for his new job.
And he's also not he's a fresh face. So a lot of the people who are doing podcasts now, like possibly Shannon Sharp, they have experience. They've been in the game for a while, so they can get away from the big corporations and do it on their own. Pat McAfee had to start from doing it on his own. Got a big following, and now the companies are looking at him. He's like, well, I'll get more money this way. I'll get more eyes this way. The problem is you're going to
don't forget his color commentary. Don't forget his color commentary for WWE.
Yeah, and that's what I said before.
That's where he got the big boost. That's where he got the major corporate attention. It was when he got onto WWE.
But what's scaring me about Pat McAfee, and you all mentioned a very, very key word, and this is something Stephen A. has done his entire career. He's compromised himself. And I'm not saying McAfee hasn't compromised himself, because if someone's offering you a ton of money, take it. I get it. I get it. And like you said, Sick, he saw a trust fund for his children.
He's now becoming, because he's a new father right now. Think about that. That will change your perspective.
He saw a trust fund for his child, and it will. Hey, I'm there.
I know exactly. You would know better than any of us.
Mm-hmm.
When you got a kid now, it changes your perspective. But the thing is, my thing is this, and as somebody who has a background in accounting and whatnot, I'm telling on myself here because people forget. Because people forget the business aspect of sports.
Yep.
And also because we don't have anybody who talks about the legal aspect of all the contracts.
Right.
Somebody's got to look into those contracts and understand what are the strings attached, what are the restrictions on this man. Because at the end of the day, you're getting a big paycheck with a major corporation, but understand, golden handcuffs are still handcuffs at the end of the day.
Exactly. What's the catch?
And that right there frightens me about what Pat McAfee is stepping into. That part right there. See, Stephen A has no problems compromising himself for that dirty dollar from that foiler network.
But he's a Sherman Helmsley kind of Weasley-like character. We look at.
Oh man, sick! Just climbed in my head yet again.
He just not. He did.
Well, actually, we do have to. Actually, we should thank Chris Bates for that because he was right. He does kind of look like Ronald Jefferson. You know? And you know where season you're in by how far the pushback.
How far the hairline is going back.
The pushback.
But also,
and thank you to Bunker TV for what you just said. You're right. She is not. I mean, I've seen her sister more appealing, but that's neither here or there.
But here's the other thing. Also,
what is Malika? What is she doing there?
She's there.
Let me just throw this all the way out there like a Nolan Ryan fastball. What is she doing there?
This is gonna sound bad, but she is promoting a very stern feminist agenda.
Anti-black male form of feminist agenda.
Especially anti-black man. You would think, because as I told you, Snowman, one of the most cringiest words I've ever heard come out of her mouth is, "We would be remiss if we didn't inform you of blank." Because every time she says that, actually, if anyone says that, it's always something that doesn't need to be uttered. It's a personal, private issue that does not need to be put out there in the media airwaves. Like no one had to hear about this young man who just got drafted. About Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
He was involved in some shooting of a woman.
No,
it had nothing to do with him.
The gun that was involved was his.
Right. But she didn't say
he
that.
had no involvement. She did not. She had to misconstrue it because if you ever looked into the case itself and how the media was highlighting certain things, thank you, yellow journalism, you would realize nothing adds up. If we could use it just don't add up soundbite, please.
Oh, do we even have that?
It just don't add up.
It just
doesn't add up. But also realize she only does this to black male athletes. Have you ever heard her talk? Has she ever, whenever she brings up Brett Favre, if she's ever mentioned Brett Favre, has she talked about that little mess he has down in Mississippi?
No.
If we were talking about professional wrestling, if she even bared, if she talked about the $1 Million Man, has she ever talked about the welfare fraud that the DiBiase family is involved in currently, involving one of the sons? No.
Nope.
Or here's another clip. I remember somebody who critiqued this on a YouTube clip. When Jalen Rose gave her a hug, he had his hand on her shoulder.
Yes.
And when he hugged her, she fridged and said, when she got the hug, she said, "Get your fingers out my armpit." What fingers? Do you notice where his fingers were?
On her arm.
She needs to play victim.
On her shoulder.
There were people. And I tell you this because right after it happened, I was stunned when I heard this. There were people who were proclaiming that Stephen A should have been fired because he publicly abused Malika Andrews after that take that happened.
How?
Your guess is as good as mine. But
you got checked by a man who's old enough to be your own father, woman.
Not only that, it's his show.
It's his platform.
You call into his show and think you can try to, as black folks would say, you try to son him?
Yeah.
A man who's like at least twice your age.
But this is what I was saying yesterday about look at the people who are now, well, not yesterday, but the day before, about look at the people that they're now going to champion. People like Ryan Hollins, like Kendrick Perkins, like Malika Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people.
What are the chances you're going to see Leah Thomas get a gig up there?
Oh, we'll probably see that very soon.
I had to say it.
No,
Don't look at me like that. I had to say it, folks.
Because what's happening?
JJ says, I used to be like Malika, man. Let me read this. Respected the advice she'd give to young broadcasters, but don't bring up those comments during the draft. Absolutely.
It was not
that's not first of all, that's not none of your business to bring up. You're talking about the draft. We're talking about someone that's changing his life with a chance to play in a league that he's wanted to play in since childhood.
And Snowman, what we usually talk about when we first started working together, time and place for everything.
Time and place.
This was not the right time.
Time and place.
This is not the right time. It was not the right place for you to bring up and drudge up something in the past that he was already cleared for.
Mm-hmm.
But do we see Stephen A talking about that? No.
JJ backs up with this. He's listening to other players too when she went after Stephen A during the Udoka conversation. You weren't the only one that was pissed about that. Third point, Adrian Payne. You bring up the situation he was in. Why not also shine light on what he did for that girl Lacey? Visited her during the hospital during her chemo. And that, and all that, and took her
to games.
I'm sorry,
but he's driving. So is he driving? He wasn't driving. He was probably texting wrong. But like he says, plus this is when he passed away. The Adrian Payne thing really ticked me off.
It got me too. For her to bring that up for a guy that passed away.
Yeah, but again,
you don't disrespect the dead. You do not disrespect the dead. And Victor, if you could just please bear with me.
Of course.
Think about two of the people who just got drafted today, who got drafted in the NBA this year.
Mm-hmm.
No, not just Brandon Miller. Two men in particular.
Okay.
Victor Wembanyama and Bilal Coulibaly. By the way, it's pronounced Coulibaly. He's Wembanyama. Both are French, but Coulibaly is of West African descent. Wembanyama is of Congolese descent.
Right.
And they were born and raised in France. They just paid their dues. They paid their dues in France, and now they're just going to be broken into the NBA because they both got drafted after Metropolitan '92. That's a team from the French league.
Yes.
If she could do that to Brandon Miller, if she was well versed in French or knew anything about French league or anything like that, imagine how much dirt she would be digging up on those guys if they have any. Especially if she did that to Bilal Coulibaly, because remember, he is Muslim.
I wouldn't be surprised if she's digging up dirt on them right now, which is unfair.
I know that
which is totally
especially
unfair.
how things are in France, especially when they talk about the French crime as hell. Look what's going on right now in France with the riots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I know that Cole calls her Sage Steele Jr. I call her Gail King Jr. because she's doing exactly what Gail King did after Kobe's passing.
How about a combination of both?
Yeah.
These Cole Sports says those clowns need to shut up and let that man check someone on his own platform when they show disrespect to him. Agreed.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And here's the thing about her. I gotta mention this. I'd be irresponsible if I were not to mention this. If you look at her background,
yeah,
father's African American, mother's Ashkenazi Jew. So if we were to criticize her or her younger sister, who is a courtside journalist for ESPN for the Warriors, if we were to critique her in any way, they would accuse us of being sexist, misogynistic, racist, anti-Semitic. Now, in my case, I dare her because coming from where I come from, I am East African. The ethnicity I belong to is a Semitic ethnicity, first of all, Afro-Semitic. I would dare her to accuse me of being anti-Semitic. I said, come on. You want to do that? You want to accuse me of that? I can prove it. You cannot.
I would dare her to accuse me of that. Look,
Black and Semitic, folks.
This ties all the way into what we had talked about, how mainstream sports media has gone too far left.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me tie this back into where this segment started with Stephen A. Him causing the demise of some of his quote unquote friends and colleagues, and two, it's going to lead to his own demise, which is probably why he set up the Stephen A. Smith show on YouTube, which it had another title, but he changed it. And FanDuel is slipping money into his pocket. Cole and I have said so many times over, and Victor has echoed this, that Stephen A. should have walked away a long time ago and started his own platform.
Once he got reprimanded for what he said after the Ray Rice situation.
Which is keep your hands off each other.
About keep your hands off each other. He didn't say that she deserved it. What he says is sometimes individuals, men or women, will provoke wrong action. Keep your hands to yourself.
And that's all he said.
And that became he became blaming.
And since then, the grave has been dug. Now they're just waiting for the right moment to push him in it.
But what aggravates me about Stephen A. is that he doesn't care about anyone else going under or anyone else having to walk away. All he's care about now, and the reason why he's bringing it up now is because now it could affect him. What did he say? Him. I might be next.
He is next. Let's take the might be out of the equation. He is next.
That's why you have what he's doing right now with the YouTube channel, because he's just preparing, because he realizes it's time to set up the contingency plan. Things I'm pretty sure he had in the works. I would not be surprised he had in the works long before. But he's thinking, all right, now I gotta fine tune it.
He's working on his exit strategy.
You want a wrestling reference to this? Back when the Montreal screw job happened, Mick Foley took a couple of weeks off of work because he was so mad at what Vince did.
Yeah.
In solidarity. He said it wasn't right. Jim Cornette had to call him and bring him back to television because he refused. That's what you call being down for your friends. That's the integrity you're looking for. Stephen A. is not.
I'll give you one better, Victor. Ravishing Rick Rude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Walked out in solidarity. And what happens on a taped edition of Raw? You see him with a 5 o'clock shadow and a beard, talking about promoting DX. Right then and there, live on Monday Nitro, you see him in a similar suit, clean shave with a mustache, looking sharp as a tack, showing up live on Nitro and addressing indirectly the whole Montreal screw job, because he was basically setting people up for Bret Hart to enter WCW.
And look, I'm not even trying to say that you have to do that, because I get it. You got to pay your bills. You got to feed your family. I'm not saying you do anything to jeopardize your bag. But if you're going to sit there and say, these are my friends, these are my brothers and these are my colleagues, but you're screwing them over under the table, Max Kellerman, hello?
Yeah.
You can't come back and come out your whole mouth and say,
in many ways, Skip Bayless, hello.
Yes.
In many ways, Skip Bayless, hello.
Oh, Skip. Here's another person who is nothing more than a liability and a parasite. And Wise would back me up on this, because as someone who suffers from mental health,
I'll back you up on that.
Narcissistic abuse. That man has the telltale signs of somebody with narcissistic personality disorder. You're looking in his eyes, his mannerisms, everything about him tells you this is a narcissist.
Oh, we were. Go ahead. Snowman and I talked about this a while back, about how when you look at Skip Bayless, and he's been like this ever since Cold Pizza, he has a sense of
Cold Pizza.
He has a sense of narcissism, but also a sense of him having like an elitist mentality when it comes to
entitlement.
Athletes. Well,
he talks down on everybody.
Yes.
Here's Cole. Thank you for saying this. The fact that he didn't say, men, you shouldn't hit a woman, he was in trouble. True.
Yeah. He didn't toe the line, basically.
Listen, he didn't draw a line. He just said a very true statement. Keep your hands.
I said toe the line.
But the thing
I said toe the line, and Snowman, toe the line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After he said what he said about keeping your hands to yourself, they drew a line.
Shit.
They drew a line. They drew a line in the sand, and they're gonna bury him in between them.
Thing is, he did say, "Men, keep your hands off women," but he also said, "Women, don't start anything."
Right.
Don't put your hands on a man.
And this is talking about black men and black women in particular. He was talking about because, but then again, at the same time, like he said, we don't know what the whole story was. And let's not forget when the Ray Rice thing started, when the Ray Rice incident happened, who was the first to break the news? Who broke the news? It was TMZ Sports.
TMZ.
Yep.
TMZ put out. But understand, they put out certain clips.
Yes.
And my question is, furthermore, it was still an ongoing investigation. So my question is, who leaked the footage by the hotel security to TMZ Sports? Because I'm sure ACPD, because it took place in Atlantic City PD were probably hot and irate about this.
And are they still?
And they were selected what they wanted to put out. Go ahead. Sorry.
Are they still employed? You know, Cole says this. I thought Stephen A was going to go under when he crossed Michelle Beadle. He survived that. He ain't surviving this. And to the birthday boy wise, Skip is the ultimate narcissist. I'll agree with that.
I agree.
Gracias. Muchas gracias, hermano. Muchas gracias on that one. Thank you. Nobody
agree.
understands.
I almost got in trouble with Wise too.
And Cole says this. You can't say, I may have put this up already, but I'll put it up again. You can't say jack about the Andrews sisters. Nobody can be considered anti-Semitic because that is the kiss of death to anyone on mainstream media.
Thank you. Oh, man, I opened a can of worms, but I'm happy. But then again, coming from where I come from, I have no problem opening up an egg.
Forget opening
I had to
open a can of worms. We cracked this thing open like an egg, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Understand where I come from. I had to do it, and if I did not, it would be a disservice to you guys and the show if I did not bring that up. It's important to bring that up.
It will be disservice to a lot of people who believe in the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
What did Cole and I say this morning? Let's do something we rarely do on this show. Tell the truth.
It just comes.
Wait a minute. Three black men telling the truth?
That was men in sarcasm. Think about it.
Sorry, we need the dramatic music, Brian. You killed that moment. Let me try it again.
Hold on to that thought. Hold on to that. Okay, just trust me. But be that as it may, we cracked this thing open like an egg.
Yes,
and it needed to be cracked open. It needs to be cracked open. Let me change the tense of that. It needs to be cracked open.
It does.
Thank you.
And to repeat Six's comment, three black men telling the truth on a sports show. That's all we do.
The thing is that now people are serving too many masters. That's really what it is. People are serving too many masters, and they're starting to get conflicts of interest.
Victor, I mean this jokingly.
Why the you lying? Why you always lying?
I couldn't help it.
And that song was number one on the Billboard charts for 54 weeks straight.
Victor, I joke when I play that, but you know you're dead on right about serving two masters. I'll leave y'all with this before we go to our final break. A selection from the Warner Break Choir entitled Stephen A., You're Screwed. But in a way, he isn't, because he's setting up his, as Sick said, contingency plan. We'll finish up with some fun after this. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is The Brian Snow Show.
We're not a cooking show. We're a show about cooking. We turn the camera around and point it at you. Our show takes place right inside your kitchen.
Thursday nights are wrestling night on CSTV. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific to see all the amazing next-level pro wrestling stars on Thursday Night Throwdown on CSTVNow.com and the CSTV app on your Roku device.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is The Brian Snow Show.
I want to end this by thanking Victor and Sick for stepping in and pinch hitting for me when I was in a world of trouble. Things have gotten better here. I'm still going to wind up taking the rest of the studio apart, but figured out the main problem. Got a couple other things in the works. We'll be back with you tomorrow, and this is the final week. We'll be at 2 Eastern because beginning Monday, just to allow myself some downtime, especially in between Sports Wednesdays and here, we're going to move to 4 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific time for those of you on CSTV and those
I
of
have
you.
a question.
Why?
Yes. So you have two of the individuals who make a boatload of ads for Snowman Warning. I gotta ask Snowman a question.
No.
Come on, Snowman.
Please. Please.
What are some of your favorite or most memorable ads that's been created?
You gonna ask me a question like that now?
Yes. We got about 4 minutes.
You know what? We should have put a disclaimer at the beginning of this show.
I have an answer.
Okay.
Victor, you know you are unfair.
Oh no, you can have more than one. You can have more than one. It's not a competition. We just love to go back and forth about this.
Yeah.
Here's one.
So I realized that I think even though it's not advertised,
right,
there has to be a place for stupid people. We don't know because we're not stupid, so we don't know anything about it. It's like a secret club society.
Oh my gosh.
So I come to the conclusion that he graduated from SU, stupid university. Yeah, and all the stupid ass letters that go along with graduating high honors of being stupid. I can't do no more, man.
Vámonos, dominos, vámonos. Stupid university, where everyone graduates. Magna cum stupid.
Good choice. Very good choice.
I think we need to edit that one because
LeBron's sexual stupidity is brought to you by Hooked on Bronix. When you start talking like an idiotic bronzexual, Hooked on Bronix can set you right. Call 1-800-YOKAY. Real LJPN. Now approve all this.
Here's the third one. This coffee with McCarthy is sponsored by Steph Curry Cognac. One, and it's lights out.
Go ahead, Sick.
And one that Victor and one of the ones that started it all.
LJPN is sponsored by HoFacts. Before she hoe, and you gotta know, tell her to show me the HoFacts.
Okay, that answers your question.
Wait. What about Bron Joy Juice?
Bron Joy Juice is one. Southside Slapbox Academy is another.
Academy, Camel Clutch Wrestling Academy.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones I got for Drew.
Before I give a quick tribute, let me add. Y'all remember the one that started it all? Penis water.
Yep.
Oh yes.
I gotta find.
Play it.
Let me. No. I gotta find that one. But let me say hi and thank you to one of the dearest members of my family, my dear little daughter Cheyenne, who will be celebrating a birthday next week.
Happy early birthday,
Cheyenne! Presented me with a belated Father's Day card. That's about this big.
Nice.
Oh.
And the front of it read, "Great men make great dads."
Couldn't agree more.
You know what, Brian?
I started crying.
You know what, Brian? I got to teach you a word from my language.
And that is?
Aina Abwa. It means daddy's girl in my mother tongue. Because...
Well, I've got a few of them. Cheyenne, and Sonia.
Yes, Sonia, especially Sonia. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
let's not.
Oh, Sonia, my life.
You got Cody. Let's not forget about Dakota.
Can't forget about my baby boy Dakota. And they were all here last night.
And the grandkids. But
and the grandkids. Jaden's 5 now, y'all.
Yikes.
Oh,
Jaden is 5.
It's kindergarten.
I met him. I barely met and knew him. And we went to see him this past Saturday, and he ran right to me.
Pop.
Ran right to me. We gotta go. We got more stuff for you tomorrow. Have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless everybody.
Thank you for tuning into The Brian Snow Show, where sports is the base. Life and fun are the results.